Welcome back, everyone. Legendary film actor Sidney Poitier has passed away. He was the first black performer to win the Best Actor Academy Award, which he won in 1964 for his role in the film Lilies of the Field. He received much acclaim, including a second honorary Oscar for his performances in iconic movies, including In the Heat of the Night, Guess Who's Coming to Dinner, and A Raisin in the Sun. Poitier was also a prominent civil rights activist and served as Bahamian ambassador to Japan for a decade, starting in 1997. He had dual citizenship in the U.S. and the Bahamas. Sidney Poitier was 94 years old. To remember his life and legacy, I want to bring in Carlos Scott. He's a veteran publicist and media crisis expert who's represented many actors and celebrities. Thanks so much for joining us today, although, of course, this is a sad day. Sidney Poitier, known as Hollywood's first black movie star, first black man to win the Best Actor Oscar. Carlos, what do you see as his historical and long-lasting impact on Hollywood?
Yes, thank you, Laverne. It's always great to be here. As you said, it's a sad occasion as we've lost definitely one of our icons. I'll get right to it. I think his legacy will be that as a groundbreaker and also one as a unifier, because the one thing, if you look at the totality of his career, he was always about bridging bridging people together. Whether it was through his acting roles or whether it was through his philanthropy, his community activism work. He was way more than just an actor. He saw that he had a great platform and he didn't shy away from using it. Although he was probably a little bit more diplomatic in how he chose to use his platform, but he was always strategic and intentional with how he used his fame, his resources, his influence. And so he will be deeply and greatly missed.
Absolutely. Of course, at that time period, he would have had to have been very diplomatic so as not to destroy his own career. Let's talk about
Right.
some of those films, Carlos, because they did explore racial tensions during a time when Americans were also grappling with social change. Talk about some of those films that discussed racism.
Right. To Serve with Love, that probably sticks out the best with me in watching that with my grandmother. Porgy and Bess, In the Heat of the Night, people laud about him being the first black man to win an Oscar, and I think one of the first as well to have an on-screen romance with a white woman. I think he can also go down in history books as the first black man to slap a white man on in a movie. And so in that iconic role. And so I mean there's a lot to Mr. Portier that is well way beyond just the acting and TV roles and things of that nature, but and just the humility that he always showed. He was never bigger than the moment. He was never bigger than the person who sat there before him, whether it was an intern or whether it was director of a blockbuster film.
Yeah, he absolutely comes across as extremely humble. And I have to think about the loss of Betty White and think
Hmm.
about the comparison of the type of experiences that they would have had in Hollywood. What are your thoughts on that? Because obviously, being in Hollywood, you have struggles. In that time period, you have struggles. And then as a black man, you have struggles. She also has struggles, obviously, as a woman, but certainly not the way he did. So, what type of comparison would you see there?
I think there's some duality there. I mean, both of them at the end of the day are considered minorities. I mean, she was a white woman, he was a black man. One comparison, Betty White, we mostly know her from the Golden Girls and some of those other comedic roles that she had. But Betty White was also a groundbreaker in her own right. She was one of the first women to actually host her own show, and she actually was met with controversy because she decided to book a famous black tap dancer, and the producers didn't want her to do so. She decided to do so anyway, and unfortunately, her show was canceled. But when you look at her courage to be able to sit and with conviction and say that, you know what, this is my show. This is a guest that I want, and I don't want his race, his political affiliation or any other differentiality to keep my guests from being on my show. And so that said a lot to me about her character. Likewise, with Mr. Portier, you know, he's long been known as a unifier and someone who was a proud Bahamian, as you spoke about his dual citizenship. And so there's a lot of commonality in both of their journeys because both of them had to overcome insurmountable odds in order to be these successful icons that, truth be told, both of them are.
Yeah, truly, truly icons. And Sidney Poitier was really in a class of his own. Carlos, thank you so much for joining us today and helping us remember
Thank you.
these legendary actors.